Welcome back everybody to the DeAgostini Jeff Gordon model build. We're going to jump right into it with stage 27. I just wanted to say I appreciate you guys being here. I know it's long in between videos and I have said that I would be better at my timing, but clearly I have not. So I do have the next two boxes. They are sitting on my desk right next to me and I am planning on building those as soon as possible. But for today, let's jump into it. We're going to be starting again with stage 27. We're going to be building the brake duct openings and brake ducts. This particular one is the left front. So what you have here is the brake cooling box. This attaches to the nose of the car and allows the air to travel in. As you could see previous, it was marked with an L. And then what we have here is one of the brake duct cooling hose assemblies, and then the hoses. The hoses themselves were nice rubber to work with. The one thing that was interesting though about them is if you screwed them in too tightly, you could actually screw the screw past the hose. So you have to be careful when doing that. Picking up I guess these are orange brake duct openings. The larger hole is what assembles into the cooling box itself, and it's just a press fit. There's nothing difficult about it. It just assembles nicely, and that wraps up stage 27. We'll set those pieces to the side, and we'll grab stage 28. We're going to be doing similar stuff. Do you see this thing rolling around? It's annoying. Anyway, stage 28, we will be doing pretty much the next two portions of the left front brake duct opening assembly. Same thing with the rubber hoses. Again, if you look closely, you can see that there's a little indentation that goes in first. So the screw actually screws into the flat side of the piece. And then you take those two pieces and you just assemble them together. It's a press fit. They lock in nicely. You don't have to use a ton of force. It is plastic into plastic, so it's not really a difficult assembly. But going together, it went nicely. And it was loose enough to give everything a little bit of room to wiggle around. And that came into play when attaching that subassembly into the cooling box. That allowed it to be put together nicely. And again, finally, we'll take this third hose, brake duct opening hose, attach it to the back side of the cooling box. It took a little bit of force for this one just because of the odd angle between the two that I had to put it through. But yeah, it's a really simple assembly, and obviously it's going to add a lot to the car as soon as we get that put together. So we'll just put these pieces to the side for a second. We'll pick up our front clip, our pretty much main assembly that we've been working on, and we'll grab this little bracket. This is interesting because obviously on a real car, the hoses would be hollow to let air pass through them. And to some degree they are with those little end holes in them, but those are only to assemble to that backing plate. So it's kind of a faux assembly. There's really no way if air were to travel through there, it couldn't actually reach the braking system. But as we take a close-up look at it, I mean, once the assembly is all together and everything's closed up, you won't be able to tell. And it's a very simple process. And overall, it turned out really good. This one, obviously you can see there, is marked R for the right side. And then I had a hard time trying to find the left side L because of the way that the tire was in front of it. But that wraps up stage 28. Oh, and I forgot to mention that everything done in those first two stages were with EP screws, except for the brackets being screwed into the frame. Those were done with AM screws. No assembly oil for that. It went in just fine. There were no issues. If you guys are new here, I do not plan on using any glue or assembly oils with this model. No foreign substances being applied to it. So of course, with all that being said, we're going to move on to the right side brake duct opening assembly. It's basically a mirror of the left side. There was nothing in this particular subassembly that was different that I noticed. There was nothing in the instructions that made me believe that it was different. It was basically just a symmetrical mirror image of the other side. So as that's playing in the background, I just wanted to say thank you guys for joining these videos. Thank you for watching them and leaving your comments and questions. I really appreciate them. The engagement helps get it out to other people, and hopefully if people are interested in this build, they get to see a little bit of a video that I think helps somewhat if you're building it yourself. I'd try to help with maybe some tips and tricks and I don't know, maybe some information that would be helpful. The problem with this for me personally is it's just hard to find time to do all of the editing, and the recording's not so bad. It only takes me about an hour or two to put the whole section together that I'm working on that particular session. But the biggest problem is doing the recording, editing all of the recording, and then doing all of the voice recording as well and editing all that together. So I'm still not very good at it. I'm still trying to figure it out and work well and make it a presentable thing for you guys to watch and enjoyable as well. And I hope that's the case, but you never know. So I always appreciate the feedback. And like I said, if you guys are enjoying this, please hit the subscribe button, leave some comments, like it, and hopefully it can get out to other people that are interested in this build as well. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up stage 29, and we're going to move on to stage 30. And in stage 30, there's only one component. It's the front bumper subframe kind of bracing brackets. And this subassembly comes with two different types of screws, EP and JM. And as you can see, it's a pretty big piece of the car. There's a little bracket on there for something later we'll get into in the video. But we'll just grab this big assembly that we have going on so far, flip it over because we're going to be focusing on the bottom because that's how it attaches. It was a little strange that you attach, well, first of all, the two holes that go from the subframe to the, I guess, main frame go together. It was a little frustrating to get that together. The tension in this model is quite a bit, so getting this piece to seat properly in those positions was a little bit of a challenge. Overall, it didn't take me that long, but it was just something I noticed when putting them together. Then we screwed the brake duct openings, the cooling boxes to the, I guess it would be the top of the bumper subframe with those EP screws as we talked about before. And then when you flip it over, you can see right there, and it's hard to see, but right there on the top of the frame, that's where you put the two JM screws in to get that assembly all together and tightened up. So we'll move over to stage 31. And in stage 31, we're going to just go right from what I said in stage 30 about the piece that's going to be attached to the underside of the front bumper bracket, and that is the engine oil cooler subassembly. And as you can see here, we have the mesh that goes on top of it. I like this very fine detailed stamped metal. And then here you have the cooler itself, just plastic molded, nothing too crazy about it. That does go together very nicely, and it's held together with 4 QP screws, and it's just metal screws into plastic. I love the reflective nature of this part of the car. Unfortunately, it is going to go on the underside, so we're really not going to see it unless you flip this car over. I think the case that it comes with has a mirrored bottom. I'm not entirely sure, so that would be really cool. If not, I'll probably get a mirrored bottom for it and kind of put the car up on an angle so you can see underneath it. And you may have noticed we've already put one of the hose and fitting assemblies into the oil cooler assembly. That was done just with a press fit. They're just plastic into plastic. The longer one is 31C, the shorter one is 31D. Those are just how they're labeled. So if you get that confused, it's pretty clear in the assembly module. But we'll flip the whole front clip over and get to the bottom side because we have to, I don't want to say very carefully, but somewhat carefully put the hoses through that subframe bracketry so that it assembles properly and you can attach the hoses later. We'll flip that back over and we'll put the whole thing together with these 2 EP screws, and that kind of wraps up this portion of the model. It was a little annoying getting this fitting into place because of all the other hoses and wires and everything going around. It'll look really, really good once it's all done and complete, but for right now it's just kind of frustrating because of how many unattached and open-ended hoses and lines and fittings there are on this car. But anyway, that wraps up 31. Now we'll move on to stage 32. And speaking of frustrating that I just mentioned, 32 was the most frustrating. So it was only a few pieces. It came with the front bumper braces and cross member. As you can see there, we moved that over to the right. Just 3 pieces. It had a little fitting too, but we'll add that later. These little brackets, these little bracing pieces, they were the most frustrating thing to work with. You can see there's a little notch there, and it fits into the bottom bumper assembly structure frame part specific direction. I had the most frustrating time getting this piece to go together. I mean, I could not for the life of me get the bottom pieces to attach. I don't know what it was. It was kind of, well, I know what it was. It was difficult to get my hand in that position so that I could hold it in place, but also the way that it tried to screw together, it just wouldn't go really well. I think the screws were, I don't think they were too short, but they were very close. I think allowing the screws to be a little bit longer would have helped. Another thing too, as you can see here, we're taking off that rear support bar, I guess you could call it, for just stabilizing the model. That was adding a lot of tension to the nose of the assembly, and so that was making it difficult to put that front bracing into position on its own. So I think it was a combination of multiple things. As you can see, I had to get the tweezers out to seat those pieces in place, and overall this was probably the most frustrating part of the build. When it went together and I finally, see, another one just fell out. So when you get one side and you get the other side, it was a very frustrating thing. But once I finally got it together, it really strengthened the whole assembly up. The nose is really strong. So I just advise, when you guys are working on this part, take your time, don't get too frustrated. And then finally, once we got those bracings in place, you just added with 4 EP screws, just like we did on the top side, on the bottom side of the bumper bracket with the brake duct openings. So just a wildly frustrating part of the model, but overall it added a lot of strength and it really brought kind of the nose together well. And as you can see, we're just reattaching the oil or the power steering fluid hose that came off. Again, like I said before, tons of open-ended fittings and hoses and wires and everything. It makes for a frustrating build to go together. But overall, I'm done complaining about this part. It went together fine. It just took a little bit of extra patience and a little bit of extra time. So we'll just set that to the side and bring back the engine so that we can add this little fitting right into the side of it. It's the pressure control valve. It just press fits in plastic into plastic. Real easy. As you can see, it just fits in position nice. I do like all the fittings in this model. Every detail, everything is really well done, well taken care of. And I mean, overall, it's really hard to complain about the quality of this model. But like I said, sometimes it is a little bit frustrating to work with, but I'll leave it right there for now. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them below. I really appreciate you guys making it this far in the video. If you did, you guys are the real ones. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye, everyone.